talked about finally getting justice in this case and seeing this day even at 18 years old.
In the heart of New York City, a community leader named John Mitchell rose to fame as a beacon of hope and change.
An armed carjacking on the west side. Investigators say 4 juveniles showed up.
With his charm, dedication, and charismatic speeches, he quickly became a trusted figure in his neighborhood. By 2015, Mitchell had earned a seat on the local council, where he spearheaded various programs aimed at reducing crime and improving education. What many didn't know, however, was that behind his polished public image, Mitchell lived a double life. While he worked tirelessly to improve his community, he secretly maintained ties to underground networks. His influence extended beyond politics into the criminal world, though few had any inkling of this hidden side. For years, Mitchell balanced his two worlds with skill, convincing everyone of his commitment to justice. But the truth was far more complex. The shocking revelation of his secret life would eventually shake the community to its core. A glimpse into the underworld. John Mitchell's journey into the criminal world began long before his rise to political prominence. Growing up in a rough neighborhood in Brooklyn, he was no stranger to crime. In his teenage years, Mitchell was drawn to a local gang, the Cobra Syndicate, known for its illicit dealings in drugs and extortion. By age 17, he had already been involved in a few small-time operations, learning the ropes of the underworld. However, it wasn't the money or power that appealed to him the most. It was the sense of belonging. The Cobra Syndicate offered him camaraderie and respect, things Mitchell lacked at home. His criminal activities were brief but formative, teaching him how to navigate both legal and illegal paths. By the time he turned 22, Mitchell decided to distance himself from the gang. But the connections he made never fully faded, and soon they would shape his future in ways he couldn't predict. Balancing public service and illicit activities. As John Mitchell became more involved in his community, his past seemed a distant memory. By 2017, he had successfully transformed from a troubled youth into a well-respected community organizer, and he had even earned a position as the head of a local nonprofit aimed at reducing youth violence. His speeches were filled with hope and determination, inspiring many who sought a better life. But beneath this admirable exterior, Mitchell was still tethered to his criminal past. In secret, he maintained connections with underground organizations, using his position to funnel resources and information to those involved in illegal activities. He made sure to keep his public and private lives separate, attending charity events by day while running shady deals by night. Despite the stress of juggling these two worlds, Mitchell excelled. He'd learned the art of deception, gaining trust while hiding his true intentions. Yet, with each passing day, the weight of his double life grew heavier, and sooner or later, something was bound to give. Allies and associates in the shadows. John Mitchell's criminal activities were not his alone. He was deeply connected to a network of individuals who operated just as skillfully in the shadows. Among his key associates was Marco, the Ghost Salvatore, a notorious figure in the city's underground world. Marco had once been a member of the Cobra Syndicate, and through mutual contacts, he and Mitchell rekindled their relationship. Marco provided Mitchell with critical information about rival gangs and kept him updated on any developments that could affect their operations. Another important associate was Ellen Grant, a fellow community leader who, unbeknownst to most, used her position to funnel funds to money laundering operations. Ellen played a crucial role in disguising Mitchell's criminal dealings under the guise of charity donations. Despite their roles in the illicit activities, these individuals shared a common goal: to protect Mitchell's carefully crafted public persona. They were his trusted network, operating in the dark while Mitchell continued to play the role of a community hero. The web of secrecy was growing, but for Mitchell, it was still under control, until things began to unravel. Events leading to exposure. The turning point came in 2019, when a series of mysterious disappearances within the city raised suspicions among law enforcement. It all started with the sudden vanishing of a local business owner, Carl Thompson, who had been outspoken about Mitchell's recent initiatives. Thompson had been known for his controversial views on the nonprofit's management and had made threats to expose some of its financial activities. A few months later, a key witness, Lena Wright, an employee at one of Mitchell's projects, was found dead under suspicious circumstances. Her involvement with the illegal operations had been unknown to the public, but her untimely death sparked a chain of investigations. Rumors of Mitchell's ties to the criminal underworld began circulating, and the police started digging deeper into his affairs. The catalyst for his exposure came when an anonymous informant, later identified as Ryan Ford, leaked crucial evidence that linked Mitchell to several underground organizations. This tipping point led to an investigation that soon uncovered the leader's double life, exposing his criminal dealings to the community and the world. The community's response to the revelation. When the news of John Mitchell's criminal past broke in 2020, it sent shockwaves through the community. For years, Mitchell had been seen as a symbol of hope, a man who worked tirelessly to improve his neighborhood and support its most vulnerable members. His downfall was unimaginable for many, and the public reaction was mixed, with some in disbelief while others felt betrayed. The initial response was one of shock and confusion. Community members who had attended his speeches and benefited from his programs struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the person being revealed in the headlines. Local residents organized rallies, demanding answers and calling for his resignation. City officials and fellow leaders, once loyal to Mitchell, now distanced themselves, publicly condemning his actions. However, there was also a vocal minority that defended him, citing his work in the community and claiming that the system had failed him. They believed Mitchell had been forced into the underworld due to his difficult upbringing, offering him a degree of sympathy. In the end, the community was deeply divided, and trust in local leadership would take years to rebuild. From accusation to trial. After the shocking revelations about John Mitchell's criminal past in 2020, the legal process quickly unfolded. Within weeks, he was arrested on charges of racketeering, money laundering, and conspiracy. As the case moved forward, the public eagerly awaited the outcome, unsure whether the man they once admired would face justice or find a way to escape accountability. Mitchell's trial began in 2021, with prosecutors laying out a detailed case linking him to multiple criminal organizations. Evidence gathered from wiretaps, financial records, and testimonies from former associates painted a damning picture. Key witnesses, including Ryan Ford, the whistleblower who had exposed Mitchell's ties to the criminal world, testified in court. Ford's credibility was crucial, and his testimony helped dismantle Mitchell's carefully constructed public image. Throughout the trial, Mitchell maintained his innocence, claiming he was being framed. His defense team argued that the charges were politically motivated, aiming to discredit a rising community leader. However, the jury found Mitchell guilty on all charges. In 2022, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison, marking the end of his double life as both a community hero and a criminal mastermind. Life during and after imprisonment. John Mitchell's life behind bars was a far cry from the luxury and power he had once enjoyed. Sentenced to 15 years in 2022, he entered the maximum security prison with a heavy heart. The once influential leader, who had commanded respect in the public eye, now faced a completely different world, one where respect had to be earned through survival. At first, Mitchell tried to maintain his composed, authoritative demeanor, but soon he realized the prison system had its own rules. Inmates who once looked up to him as a community leader now saw him as just another convict. His attempts to use his connections to gain favor were unsuccessful, as those he once knew had distanced themselves, fearing association with a disgraced figure. Over time, Mitchell began to reflect on his past decisions. The man who had once balanced a double life, leading a community by day and running criminal operations by night, was forced to confront the truth of his actions. Despite the challenges, Mitchell remained determined to make amends. He began working with the prison's education program, mentoring younger inmates, and even started writing a memoir about his rise and fall. When his sentence was up, Mitchell would face the harsh reality of re-entering society, knowing that his past would forever haunt him. Long-term effects on the community. John Mitchell's conviction in 2022 had lasting consequences for the community he had once served. The trust that many had in him was shattered, and his project suffered as funding was cut. However, the scandal also sparked a new wave of activism. Local leaders worked hard to rebuild the damaged trust, focusing on transparency and accountability. The community learned a valuable lesson: that leadership must be rooted in integrity, and that even a single person's fall can ignite positive change for the future. The twist in this story leaves more questions than answers. Want to dive deeper into the darkness? Stay tuned for our next video, Dark Trails: The Chilling Journey of a Notorious Serial Killer. Subscribe now to be part of the journey. Don't miss out on what's coming next.